Good afternoon, everyone. I know it's been a while since I did a video. This is Ultima Online Outlands. That's the game we're currently playing. And this is my houseboat. I won this houseboat in the housing lottery shortly after I started playing. If you guys have wondered where I'm at, where my videos have been, why I haven't recorded anything new on MWO or anything new on Roblox, it's because I've been here. Every moment that I'm not spending with my family, being a dad, being a husband, and being an employee, is spent right here in Outlands. And I have to say, as somebody who originally only had kind of a tertiary experience, so to speak, with UO, I have really found this shard to be very enjoyable. And it's also a very challenging place to play, but we'll get into all the nitty gritty of the shard and kind of what I think of it in general. But just in summary, I think it's a great place to play. There's a lot of um, versatility here that you don't find in UO originally. There's a lot of creativity here that takes all the wonderful things from UO Ultima Online. If you don't know what UO stands for, because it's a pretty old game, Ultima Online takes all those initial really smart, intelligent choices that Ultima Online made when they created that game, um, and takes those and builds on them, right? And we're going to go through some of those things here today, just kind of as an introduction to Outlands. I want to do kind of an intro video to Outlands. So, for starters, you don't start in a houseboat, or you don't start in your own private houseboat. So, let's take you guys to where you start, where it all begins, okay? And we're going to use our rune book here to get there. So, we'll just go from the beginning. When you first join Outlands and you create a character, you will start right here, like literally like right here. You won't have a mount, you won't have any armor, you'll have like a basic weapon. You might have like a codex or two based on what your skill is. Like I have a bunch of stuff, different codexes that I've purchased, but when you start, like you'll just start with like I think if you're a mage, you'll have maybe a spell book, but like you don't get any of these codexes, right? Codexes are different. There's something specific about Outlands, and there is a lot of things, at least as far as I know, these are specific things to Outlands. There's a lot of things about this game that are different than UO, right? Um, when you start here on Shelter Island, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to have like, I think 1,000 training credits, I think, and you can walk around to these different people. And I can't do it because I'm not a new player, but you can walk around to these different people, these different yellow worded NPCs, and get the different skills that you're going to pick up. You can get archery, you can get bard skills down here at the theater. Um, you come over and talk to the blacksmith. You can get some weapon skills, arms lore, that kind of thing, right? In smithing skills and stuff. You can do crafting skills here too. So basically, you can go through the whole town and pick up the using those training credits. You get basically a scroll that'll have 1,000 points of training credits, and you can walk around and talk to these guys and get trained. And then once you have your training done, you can train up to 50 with gold or with those training credits. Once you have your skills up to 50, the ones that you're selecting, you can go into the newbie dungeon. And inside the newbie dungeon here, you can train all those skills up to 80. And they train at a much faster rate in here than they do on the outside. It's like a way to get your character to 80 in those combat skills relatively quickly. So it's really cool. Once you leave Shelter Island, in other words, once you're like me, my character here is Zentarum, and you've left the island, you can no longer come back and get training, purchase supplies, stuff like that from these guys here on the island. But you can always come back and train up skills in the dungeon here. So even if you're like respecing your character, for example, or you're doing an echo, and we'll talk about what an echo is later, But even if you're doing something with like an Echo or another new character, you can always come back here even after you leave the island to do the training portion. So you can't purchase the training to 50 like you with these guys once you leave the island, but you can still come back at 50 skill and go to the dungeon and train it to 80 in the dungeon, and you still get all the benefits of being in the new player dungeon while you're doing that. So again, once you leave Shelter Island, when you come over here to the Moon Gate, the Moon Gate's up over here. You come over here to the Moon Gate for the first time. It's going to ask you. It's going to say, "Do you want to leave?" Now it's not going to ask me because I'm not a new player. But if you're a new player and you come over here, it's going to say, "Do you want to leave Shelter Island and lose your new player status?" Because before you can leave, you have to give up your new player status. So Shelter Island's a great place for a new player to get their basic build kind of started. So we're going to go ahead and leave. For now, we'll just go back to the boat. So once you get your new player to 80 and everything, then you're going to leave Shelter Island. And what I would suggest for those of you that are new, the most important thing that you can do in Ultima Online Outlands is to get into a guild when you're leaving the island. And the reason for that is a guild is going to provide you with additional gear when you die, and you're going to die a lot. It's going to provide you with some degree of protection. It's going to do several things for you. So the first suggestion I would make for a new player is once you've started your build, you've got all your training to 80 at Shelter Island, or maybe not even, already on Shelter Island, be looking for a guild that's looking for new players, right? Try to get into a recruiting channel somewhere on Discord or whatever, and see if you can find a decent guild to join, because that guild's going to help you purchase your new codexes. It's going to help you kind of start your character off right. So I am in a guild. I'm in a guild called Drax Corporation. I need to put our Drax is going to be mad at me, but I need to put our guild interface up. This is my old guild's interface. But basically, you need to get into a good guild, because one of the things that's unique about Outlands is for specific skills, you get these things called codexes. So, for example, um, my skills list, we'll just open up the skills menu. I think it's this list. Yeah. So, this is my skills list. This build is complete. This is how my character is set up. It's not going to be like anybody else's. Mine's very weird. My build is extremely weird. It works for me. I like it, but it's not for everybody. But anyway, this is how my build is set up. And in this build, I have certain skills like alchemy and parry and archery that have codexes, and also taming has a codex. So just as an example, we'll open this up. So here's like the parry codex, and you can see I have everything all the way up, all the ranks of every one of these skills. And because my parry skill is at 80, I can use the codex. It requires a skill of 80 in parry. So I believe it might be tactics too, but I know at least you have to have parry at 80 to use the parry codex. I think that's the only requirement. But that's the other thing. For each of these codexes, there are specific skill requirements. So for alchemy, for example, again, you need to have alchemy at 80, and then you get the alchemy codex. All the codexes look a little different, but generally they're the same basic setup. You have a number of points that you can apply to different skills based on what you use, what you want to use. For alchemy, pardon me for the yawn, but 6 points is the maximum. So 6 points. In reality, the first bottle here is 1 point. The second one is 3, and the last one is 6. So it's a pretty big point investment to get all the way up to 6 points. You only want to do that for the really important skills in the codex. And then this is the Tamer Codex, also known as the Bestiary. You have a different skill setup for each of your 3 subtypes of tames. You have tanks, attack, and utility. So attack, utility, and tank. And I have points invested based on what particular creatures I have out at the time. Right now, I think everything is stable, but I believe this setup was for just a mix of five different pets. But I have 25 different codex selections for bestiary, different loadouts that I have pre-selected for my tamer. So that's just a quick breakdown of codexes. I think there might be one more in here I didn't. Yeah, the archery codex. Again, similar story. I have all the upgrades unlocked. Now, for weapon codexes and for parry, it's a little bit different than it is for, as you noticed, for alchemy and for bestiary. Alchemy and bestiary, you have 20 points in the different areas that you can apply under different skills. In parry and in archery, for example, or fencing or swords or whatever, the codexes are different. They're going to have like different um, stances or abilities, and then they're going to have different finishers. Or I'm sorry, they're going to have different stances in this case, finishers and abilities, and they all have different. So if I click on this one, for example, long shot, um, increase range by rank by 2 tiles, rounded up, and damage by 3% per rank. And I have all the ranks unlocked. And long shot's really good, so I pretty much stick with long shot. But there's different ones here that do different things. Like incendiary does a little bit of AoE damage. It says deal 8% of damage per rank towards enemies within 2 tiles. So ranks, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's maxed out. So 7 times 8% of my damage will go to another creature next to the one I'm shooting if I'm using incendiary. So just some quick stuff there. These abilities all do different things. So with the weapon codexes, you have to kind of, the melee skill codexes, you kind of have to open those up over time, right? As you get more kill experience, more ranks will open. And it's the same thing for the parry codex, which is a little different than the potion codex, for example, because it still unlocks with experience, but you only have 20 points, and you can invest in any of these skills. Very similar for like the Bard Codex, for example. Same thing. 20 points you can invest on any of these pages. Any skill on these 2 pages. So that's kind of a breakdown of the codexes. So that's one thing that makes Outlands really interesting is you have these buffs for PVM specifically for the most part. That turn off in PvP, but they really make you more effective in PVM. What's another thing? Another thing in Outlands that you need to be concerned about is your mastery chain. Mastery chain is another thing that you need to start working on relatively early. As you get more monster experience, you don't need the chain to be gathering this experience. It will just count towards how many chain links you can have, whether or not you have a chain in your pack. But basically, you're building this experience up each time to unlock additional links. At max development, your character, I believe, base can have 30 links. And then there's a few other things you can do, like redlining and stuff to increase that. But just on the main character build, you can have up to 30 links over time, and it takes a long time to get there. As you can see, I'm only up to 9, and I have about 1.5 million experience before my next link. So mastery chain again, we'll take one more look at it. You're getting different buffs based on what links you put in here. I have follower damage links to help my pets do more damage, and then I have a couple alchemy links to help my potion damage. So that's those. And then, so we covered codexes, mastery chain, just really brief explanation of the mastery chain. Please ask questions and comments if you have questions. And then third is aspects. So if I go in here, you guys can see that my armor and my gear is basically green. That's because I'm running the command aspect. The command aspect is basically the tamer aspect. And it gives you specific bonuses for your armor, as you can see down here. I've never actually clicked on the guide to link to it. Yeah, and if you click on the guide, it will take you into the Outlands wiki, which kind of goes a little bit more in depth on some of these aspects. I will caution you, when using the Outlands wiki, understand that a lot of times it is not updated. It is not current with what the aspect may be doing. It may not be current with how tames work, or anything in there could be subject to be out of date. So there's all these different aspects. Gadgets for like trapping. Madness is good for melee. You can put madness on your armor. Um, and this, you can kind of give yourself an overview of what you have. So I have lyric, for example. I have what else? Command unlocked. I have some fortune. I have some earth, and some little tiny bit of blood. So that's what I'm working on right now. But you can unlock all of these with these aspect kits and the stills and stuff. So you can put all these on a single character if you want, and then just, again, as you do echoes, which we're going to talk about here in a minute, you might need different aspects depending on what your skills are going to be. So I don't want to go too in depth. Point is, there's different aspects that give you different bonuses. The armor bonuses, the majority of them have the same, like resistance, for example, but there might be other stuff that changes. Like you can see here, 20% plus 5 per tier is pretty much standard. But then you're going to get different bonuses, right? Like follower damage for command, necromancy skill bonus for what is that, for death, weapon special ability finish or damage bonus for discipline. Different things you'll get for different aspects. And once again, 99% of the aspect is turned off in PvP. I believe you do still get the tactics bonus on the weapon. So your accuracy and tactics bonus, I believe you still get, even in PvP. But you will not get the special proc on a player. So it's but this makes a big difference. For example, in my character's case, do I have a weapon in my pack? Yeah, I do, and it's already got the aspect on it. So this thing's a madness bow right now. When I put it on, my tactics skill goes up by 42 points to 122, my effective tactics. So it's very important because I only want to run 80 tactics because I have a 720 skill cap, and that aspect bonus is really helpful for me for like swing speed and damage or whatever from tactics, or whatever the bonuses tactics gives you. Pardon me. We're verbal diarrhea a little bit there, but basically that the important thing to know there is if you have the aspect on your weapon, you will still get the accuracy and tactics bonus. At least that's what I've been told. So that's aspects I've covered. Codexes, mastery chain. There's one other area in which you can develop a single character, and that is, if I go into help here. Well, there's a couple of other areas too, but this is one. So you go in here, echoes. I currently have a single echo unlocked. Now my echo has different skills than this one. This guy does. If you look, I have Provo on my echo. I have musicianship. I have discordance and peacemaking. A little bit of peacemaking. I have animal taming at 110, animal lore at 110, and herding at 110. This was a stupid build idea that I was trying. I'm probably going to move away from it, and was not finished yet either. I just don't like it, so I'm probably going to get rid of barding altogether on my echo. But right now it's set up like this. Um, and echo is basically your same character with a different skill setup. So it allows you to take a character that's already got a bunch of aspects unlocked, and you can just do the same. You can do the same character with just a different skills loadout, but you'll have to have a different mastery chain for that. You'll have to, you have to customize according to what that character, that other echo of your character is going to use. But that's a little bit about how echoes work. The first one I think is about $1 million gold to unlock, um, via just skill scrolls or whatever, and then it goes up to 2 million. And I think that I don't know what the third one is, but it's pretty expensive to unlock echoes. I would probably wait and just open up all your character slots first, or at least as many as you're going to use first. What else? So I think that's really basically what I want to cover. There's a bunch of other stuff that we could go through. Customizations or stuff that you can buy for gold that help your, like your character, like Shepherd gives you more stable slots. But you can check all those out when you get into the game and kind of figure that out for yourself. Achievements, you get achievement points for getting certain achievements. Um, but a lot of this stuff you guys will figure out once you get into it. I wanted to go over the basics with you. So hopefully some of what I talked about helps. If you're missing something, you can kind of go to where I talked about it and reference it. But I wanted to do a quick reference video on just getting started in the game. And like I said, I didn't really want to create a new character and do it like that way because I won't have all the codexes starting out. I won't have the other stuff, so I can't show you what that looks like if I do that. So now you kind of see what it looks like. You'll have at least an idea of what you're looking for based on what skills you have. You can go to the wiki and check and see if there's a codex for that skill or not. These are some questions that I had when I started. I didn't know anything about any answers for. So just kind of give you guys some basics. I will be doing more videos on this game. I really like this game. The next video we'll probably run this guy in the dungeon. I'll kind of show you how it works a little bit and get some feedback from you guys on the build and whatnot. But for right now, I think that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a comment. Please like and subscribe if you want. And I will catch you on the next one. Thanks, guys.